where you have to machine it. It takes a lot of time and high performance, particularly for wing and helicopter blade, which was my specialization in composite in my group. In fact, in while I was working in Tata's, one of the board meeting, I said, why not we try for rotor blade? And if I can say, finite element analysis was the first introduced at HAL. And then when the G or multinationals, they started, even Infosys, TCS, they started aerospace thing. They started picking up people from sort of HAL. LCA, as I mentioned. At present, if I remember, they have, I think, 12 to 14 aircraft per year. Whereas Airbus or Boeing, they make almost 45 to 50 aircraft per month. For example, Tata's for LCA, they are doing a fuselage, central fuselage parts, trouser deck, central fuselage, stabilizer, vertical fin. But it has come technology transfer through NAL. So when you are designing, like when I gave example 787, they have designed in 6 segments, 7 segments that it will be outsourced. And there will be interface between them. In one of the strategy war session, we call the war room discussions, it was decided that we should enter three-wheeler market to take on to Bajaj. And our material cost, if I remember, including engine, was about 42,000.
First of all, to start this podcast formally, I request you if you can share some more details about your professional journey. Then we can proceed.
So great, Rahul. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's honor and privilege. We have been discussing this over quite some time,
right.
For maybe few months. And today is the day when probably our both time slots were available, and I happen to be in Delhi, and it's again honor to be there. Your question, how I started my professional journey. So I look back, and then maybe it will take some time. I will explain you. See, those days I'm talking early 70s, and getting into professional line itself, there were only very 3 limited professional avenues, if you call it. One was engineering, other was medical, and third was your chartered accountancy or finance, whatever you call it. There was no IT industry and all that. So getting into engineering college itself used to be a very great thing those days. You get a first class, you enter into college, and news goes into family, and then it's a big achievement. So slowly, when you come from first year, second year, third year, when you go to industrial visits and see some industry outlook, that tempo slowly comes down. And real challenge comes, in fact, is when you are in final year, because then the heat and the self-pressure starts building. And in that case, in my case, what had happened was, those days there was no campus recruitment. So that's very natural. So it used to be self-effort. So what will happen is, once you are out of the college, of course, there were few who, like in my batch, some 2 people got through SSB, one in the Indian Army, other in Air Force, and others started qualifying in the written test and all that. And the most sought after jobs were public sector. If I may say, those days, after IAS, IFS, IPS, the next best thing in industry was public sectors. And to name few, like HAL, BHEL, ONGC and all that. So this reminds me that I qualified 2 written tests during just, I think, first few months. And then I sort of appeared for an interview. If I may take little bit, by this time, initial 2-3 months, I had joined a job in Tiger Locks, Aligarh. So that used to be, you will surprise, 300 rupees per month in Tiger Locks. And I still vividly remember, it was about 2-3 months. They put me in R&D. And R&D work, I really look back, but those days it was a big thing. They were sort of developing door closers which you see very common nowadays. So foot door closers they were developing. They were conventional lock system to they were coming into this. So that I got up very quickly within, you can call it, say, a few months, and that I was not much to learn. So then I started concentrating on going into the. So the thing is, the interview was at ONGC headquarters, Dehradun. And if I remember, it was the first management training batch. And and I was in a way, I would say, bit of overconfident because I had done third year training, summer training or industrial training, which was must for the engineering course. And I thought it would be when I say I have worked in ONGC, this workshop and all that, I should be having a smooth sailing. But when I entered the interview board, I remember there were almost, I think, exactly 9 members. And it was a big, sort of almost 20 meters of, 15, 20 meters of walk when you are going at young age of 21 years. And I sort of settled down, and the chairman of the interview board, he asked me a question. Where from you are? What is your college? What is your specialization? What is your rank? To cut short the total thing, I became real nervous in that. 2 reasons. In retrospect, where I say, in engineering college, we rarely used to sort of talk in terms of, communication was mostly Hindi. Correct. It was, and I also, 12th standard, everything was throughout Hindi medium. And that was the Hindi Andolan those days. So, anybody who even attempts to ask English, peer pressure used to be there. Why you are asking English question? So, that weakness became very clear because I remember he asked why piston ring is used. He first asked me, what is your elective? I said, automotive. He said, automotive, okay, tell me why piston ring is used from IC engine to this subject when we came. And I was sort of making Hindi translate into English and then try to answer there. And coupled with, they thought it is a nervousness. So cut the story short, I became sort of nervous. And I remember I had a pen in that thing. I forgot to take my pen also. I left it there when I realized. Because of nervousness. Because of very nervousness and bit of distaste and, So once I came out, there was one normal general feeling happens is, and this is the thought process. And same night I had to travel back from Dehradun to Lucknow, night journey. Whole night, I will tell you, I could not sleep. Because there came the self-realization. And I could also blame these people are their political influence, they will select, they don't, engineering college, they don't know about Gorakhpur Engineering College, what do I do and all that. So, full night I did not sleep, and then I said, "Ke bhai, aise kaam chalega nahi." Correct. You have to pull up my socks. Yeah, pull up my socks. So, see, in a growth, there are 3 types of goals. One is your current, what you are doing, then medium term, and the final goal. So, if I was already doing something to hang on in Tiger Locks, then I said there are 2 things. One is institute, which is a handicap, which is not well known. So, what is that known is IIT, and those days even Roorkee used to be famous. So what can I do? So I decided that let me try IIT master's program because that will increase my qualification. It will sort of put a esteem and my experience also. So I appeared for 2 written tests. And those days, nobody after BTech was doing MTech. They are directly going for jobs. They will look for job, and MTech was not common, you can see. And I appeared and I qualified both Roorkee as well as IIT Delhi. So IIT, I got a first call interview, and I joined the sort of a IIT Delhi. And believe me, within 3 months, I had 2 offers. One was from Coal India, Another was from State Electricity Board, which I never thought, because I somehow didn't like electricity board, those, because a lot of my relatives used to be there, and I used to see that this is not a job fit for me, because I am from a different background. So this is my initial struggle, if I may say.
So we can say that interview process that has changed your entire thought process. If that interview has gone on a right way, you may have applied for that particular job or accepted that offer, and MTech never happened.
Probably MTech would have not happened. I would maybe later part of it. I did one more master when I joined HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So they used to, every year they used to send some people to Cranfield and some people Cranfield UK, and there was a design stream which was aligned with the French government. So there is a NCCA, École Nationale des Ingénieurs Construction Aéronautique, NCCA, Toulouse. So I did my master's degree, we call it helicopter technique, and this was all French medium and all that. So that's a different part of it. So I had a double advantage of doing two masters. So this was in 70, and then later was almost 10 years later, 1986, 87.
And during your MTech days in IIT's Delhi, what were the memorable days, and how you have developed your interest in doing research work in composites?
Oh, that's also interesting. So IIT, sort of what happened, first of all, I was having at the end of year, first year, I was having a highest CGPA. So 8.8 out of 10 in my batch. And then composite came just by a chance, if I may say. So those days, I wanted to score some two subjects A and maybe one B would have been good enough for me to migrate to above 9. That is called distinction. So I chose composite subject with the discussion with one of the professor, Dr. A.K. Mittal, who used to do this course. He is no more, but a very knowledgeable person. And that there used to be 3 credit course of composite materials. Christopher John book, which will be basics of composites, were taught. And it so happened when I mentioned this subject, HAL recruitment, they were able to identify my placement, that, okay, this is the person who has worked in composites or knows composite a bit. And that is how my career in HAL was.
And at that point of time, composite technology must be very in nascent stage in India. Not many companies are doing any sort of R&D work.
Really, really. In fact, other ISRO was in fact earlier than HAL, and where you see that space applications and all that, the fundamental research was done there. And Dr. Abdul Kalam was also part of VSSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So there, I think the motherhood development of composite started there. And HAL by nature, because aerospace application for composite is very important. So why composites are important in the aerospace, defense, automotive, urban air mobility, more recent, is they have a distinct advantage of the weight saving. So if I can just, as a layman, somebody, if I can explain, say steel typically is an isotropic material where the properties are same in all direction. Whereas composites, they come anisotropic. Anisotropic means they are dependent on the fiber orientation, type of material what you are using for those fibers, and so on. So another thing is weight advantage, and then composite typically, if I say, so as I said, steel 7.8 grams per cc, then your aluminium 2.7. So if I take a glass itself is about 2.2 grams cc, but then if you epoxy is 1.2. So if you sort of mix them in ratio 60-40 or whatever design parameters required, you can unidirectional, you go higher fiber ratio than the fabric. So you get, say, cumulative or total 1.4, 1.7, 1.8 grams per cc. That kind of weight reduction you can have. Other thing is the bigger parts, where you have to machine it. It takes a lot of time and high performance, particularly for wing and helicopter blade, which was my specialization in composite in my group. It's a combination of high thickness to the lower thickness, combination of profile, complex contour, high performance. So these are all the factors where metals, composites are sort of indented into the aviation, aerospace, if I may call it, and defense industry.
Got it.
So today, for example, you take a typical A380 aircraft. If you see A350 Airbus and Dreamliner 787, if you see all exterior from the outside, if you look at, people probably don't realize, right from radome to the cockpit, to the wings, to fuselage, to stabilizer, to vertical fin, control surfaces, interiors also, they're all made of composite. And significant weight saving. The application, if I say weight-wise, is now the most latest is in A350. It is 52% of the total weight composite. So metals are basically predominantly are in engines, landing gear, and some of the controls which they are predominantly used.
Great. And sir, once you landed in HAL after passing from IIT Delhi, you have done your MTech from there. How your career progressed and how you have learned several new technologies and R&D work at HAL? How was the overall experience?
Yeah, I think first of all, as I said in the beginning, that HAL was one of the most sought after getting job. And those days, I think stipend we got 1,100, and that marriage ad used to come. My son getting 4-figure salary.
Wow.
So you can pick up the phones those days anytime. And I would say, this is hindsight of it, I should say that myself and my batch people who were at that time who joined were, I would say, right time at right age, at the right organization and right project, ALH.
Correct.
And LCA. They were just getting into the initial stages of discussion.
Are at right place.
And in that, I would say the correct right domain also. I incidentally happened to be in composite, and composite specialization was used in helicopter rotor blades. So I was in that group, and design development of composite ALH rotor blade. I was one of the, I will not say the credit, I was one of the key member of doing right from design to prototype, proving, testing, validating until the series production it got launched. So blade, today also if you say in composite industry, very few people, in fact, while I was working in Tata, one of the meetings, board meeting, I said, why not we try for rotor blades? And including one foreign consultant was there. In fact, they were telling, no, blade is too complicated, how you will do. So that's is still thought the ultimate in the aerospace. Rotor blade, your fixed wing aircraft wings. So these are all the aerodynamic, structural, what we say, vital part, class 1 parts in aerostructure. So once that experience, and this we developed with, those days we used to say Eurocopter Deutschland. There was a collaboration between HAL and German team.
Right.
And that is what I said, that we got a right time, right place, right project.
Correct.
And just before that, as I mentioned today, just before some discussion, that I had done my master's degree in Toulouse, NCCA Toulouse. So there also I had chosen a project, seeing that what is going to come was on rotor blades.
Correct.
So already I had a lot of data of composite French helicopters, different kind of helicopters, how the blade design, And I still remember my guide, Dr. Puyo. So he was guiding me, and that knowledge directly I came and used here. So it was, I again say, right time, right place, right organization, right project, and right domain.
Absolutely. That's really remarkable. At that point of time in like early 70s, if someone is getting chance to work with world-class Indian companies like HAL, getting exposure working with their counterparts and partners in Germany and France, what more you can ask for?
And regarding HAL, I would like to mention those days I remember we never used to bother what is turnover, what is budget or something.
Right.
So
Absolute focus on developing new technology, how we can improve the product. That must be the mindset.
that was the mindset. No, I'm just telling our mindset with the public sector and about HAL. So I remember some news. First page those days Indian Apex came. HAL turnover hits 3 figure, so 100 crores. And today it is 30,000 crore company, and it is called what we say Maharatna in the public sector. So I think October, very recently they have awarded. So actually it's a very good organization for learning, doing how you want to do, and real knowledge base. And you have a good liberty, because later on I have worked in private sector also, and I know how the things are so monitored. And here you can do your experiment, you can come out with your ideas, you can implement it, and it's a very open organization. And you those days all manufacturing facility at HL, it was like one of the latest thing will be available, whether 5-axis CNC machine or any advancement in the
Everything
manufacturing,
was available,
it was the best, because aerospace aircraft till today is the manufacturing is the topmost.
And sir, as we know that Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is one of the India's pioneer company in making into the defense sector. So since the time you have joined in 70s and till now, how you have seen the progress of HAL overall, and what is your future vision for that company?
I think HAL has done quite well in the sense that the design, for example, the knowledge base which they we were there at that time, we started, and slowly we phased out. And if I can say, finite element analysis was the first introduced at HAL. And then when the G or multinationals, they started, even Infosys, TCS, they started aerospace thing. They started picking up people from experienced people from HAL. But the continuity of project has been there from ALH, we say Dhruva, but it has 3 versions: Army, Air Force, Navy, and then also now light combat helicopter is there, light utility helicopter is there. So they have been developing this apart from the LCA, light combat aircraft, which was also, both the projects are success today. And AMCA is coming now. AMCA, I think CCS has given approval. Once that is there, a project is on. So they are, I think they are doing quite well, significantly well. But where I think they should where I find a gap, they should move from doing everything themselves to outsourcing and become assembler. So if I take Airbus, Boeing, today supply chain is world over. See, if I can tell you, Dreamliner fuselage is made in 6 segments, and they are from Korea, Japan, Alenia, Europe, Spirit Aerosystem. So they are all world over. They are made and then assembled. They do assembly job, majority of them, and that is how they become a tier 1 supplier. HAL, to some reason, has to have not thought of this. And just to give a comparison, for example, LCA, as I mentioned, that present, if I remember, they have, I think, 12 to 14 aircraft per year. Whereas Airbus or Boeing, civil aircraft, aviation, if I say Boeing 737, that kind of category, even 777, if I say, they make almost 45 to 50 aircraft per month.
Huge difference.
See, this is where, and that they majority of this is getting outsourced, where supply chain is very important. And now when I say Tata's entering, and you see the project C295 being done, assembly, this is the first thing. So they are also sort of an assembler. They are making assembly line now. And this is how I would say the HAL management board have to think it very seriously. They have to, for example, it's still, and when I was, I should admit, when I was in HAL, I would say no, private industry cannot make it. What they know about composite, how they will know. And that, to some extent, that reasoning was good. But today it is different. Today, if you can do the technology transfer, you can, and there are facilities available. For example, if helicopter blade, if they have to outsource, they can do. Cockpit, they can do. So there are, each aircraft or parts have certain technology, technical know-how transfer. It happens.
Right.
For example, Tata's for LCA, they are doing fuselage, center fuselage parts, trouser duct, central fuselage, stabilizer, vertical fin. But it has come technology transfer through NAL.
Right.
NAL Bangalore, and then it has come to it. So it is possible they should do.
Correct.
A little bit more. And also when they do the design, which is, this is actually in composite, when you are designing, it is good to have some technology, what they call it, co-curing, where in number of parts you do. But what happens if it is a hindrance for your volume, number of volumes or parts which you are making or multiple tools you are making. So when you are designing, like when I gave example 787, they have designed in 6 segments, 7 segments that it will be outsourced.
Correct.
And there will be interface between them. So this has to be, later on it is very difficult to change.
Agree.
And some of this comes from automotive industry. Automotive industry is very sensitive. Production volume sensitive.
Correct.
And that has to be
Right.
clubbed.
Thank you so much for sharing the insights. And as you have mentioned that you also worked in private sector, you worked with Tata Defence as well. So how was your overall experience there, and what was the major difference working in a private sector then coming to from government to private sector? How that shift happened and how was the experience?
So I think first I should take you. See, I left HAL after working 22 years. So I did not retire. And that is also not a common.
Right.
You will not see many people jumping public sector working 22 years in very good programs.
Absolutely.
With good visibility. In fact, I don't remember anybody superseded me in my promotion or career also. But to my appetite, I could that time sense, and this I am telling in 1999, ALH was just in, entering into limited series production and then series production. And some of that facility planning was done. But I could see that there is nothing much. If I had stayed in HAL or Helicopter Design Bureau, or they call it RWRDC, I would be doing number of blade section and put garland on my thing, and that is the end of the career. So I decided that I think I have to leave this. And as I said, you need to prepare yourself. So I started, in fact, you will be surprised, I took a loan, those days Standard Chartered, 1 lakh loan to improve my SAP. And I used to go to in Bangalore after my Saturday, Sundays, Saturday half day, I used to learn SAP. And PP module I did, production planning module.
In 1999.
99. Just before sort of looking how, and it was known, it was maybe 1 year earlier, 98, 97. So when I, and then also I did MBA part-time with IIM faculty and all that. So that was in private, not, but knowledge base was all. And also I had done French, as I said, certificate, pre-diploma, diploma. So
even after 22 years working, you still had that hunger of gaining knowledge about new things, working on new technology.
So very rightly. So sometimes your destiny takes little. So I completed a project and it was implemented. I got certificate. But something I don't remember. In 99, again, there was some issue with industry and SAP was not picking up that fast. So, in fact, one of another younger colleague from HAL who was doing with me, slightly younger, 5 years, and Nagbhushan. So he stayed there. So what happened? Unexpectedly, I got a call from TVS Motor president, Captain Mohan Ram. He had heard me in one lecture during NAL, and he sort of a handpicked. And he called me in Bangalore club. Can you come? And then interview happened. Then there was an interview, long discussion with Mr. Venu Srinivasan in Chennai, Hadoos Road, their corporate office. And the induction took place. And that is how I left. So HAL, I had decided to leave, but I was trying something else and it happened in between. But if I had stayed, just to hindsight of it, if I had stayed SAP also, I would have sort of reached different height, because with that kind of experience, composite technology and all, there was a lot to do in SAP.
Absolutely.
And that would have been a different career. But this also what I have. So coming to TVS, they started basically, Mr. Venu Srinivasan was developing a group, advanced engineering group, wherein I joined there as assistant general manager. So in that quadricycle, automotive four-wheeler concept was there. And that time this nano also was coming. So there was we had developed a rendering, scaled, and some sort of a concept, digital mock-up also. So if I may say, Dr. Bhattacharya, Lord Bhattacharya, actually he was a guru of Venu Srinivasan. So he used to come for reviews. So he said, Venu, this is not going to be, Tatas are coming with Nano and they have a deep pockets. You will not be able to compete. So forget this project. So that quadricycle became into three-wheeler. And we struggled. See, two-wheeler industry working with small parts and then going to three-wheeler where the styling is of course important, two-wheeler also, and three-wheeler. And the idea for this was how to compete Bajaj. So Bajaj used to, a little bit I will explain the need. So Bajaj has, I think, 90% plus market in three-wheeler. So in one of the strategy war session, we call it war room discussions, it was decided that we should enter three-wheeler market to take on to Bajaj. And our material cost, if I remember, including engine, material cost alone, was about 42,000, which was a target. And in that, complete BIW, and I also introduced some composite parts, 4-5 parts. One is the driver seat base, partition wall, front fender. So those some parts we developed. And today, if I can say, in Tata's, other than, in TVS Motor, a product which is making maximum profit margin where they are earning more is the three-wheeler. And it really gives you satisfaction. I used to see that, if TVS Auto, TVS King is going, I said, no, let it go. It gives you a sort of a feeling.
Completely understand.
And still, I will say that sometimes life is life. When you are low, I still take these two examples to, when the ALH is flying high in the sky and there is another product on the road, TVS auto rickshaw going, both are different. Both have a different kind of thing. So I really feel sense of satisfaction and good feeling.
And what was your experience post TVS in Tata Defence, or in between you worked with some other company?
Yeah, so other thing which I have got is, I am not a person who is always working in comfort zone. So most of the people...
You challenge yourself.
Yeah, so I once I see this product is developed and in fact my first love is Aerospace Defence. So this project, though it for various reasons is sort of stressed, and hindsight of it, I also see that probably I would have left little earlier, but I wanted to see the product on the road. And when it was sort of a launch production is launched. At that time, I again had opportunity, in fact, two places, and this was also not through application, word of mouth and knowledge. So one was in Tata Advanced Systems Limited, which I joined later on in Bangalore, and there other was with Kalyani Group, Bharat Forge, heading their engineering services. So it was started, and that was also a different kind of experience. With there we had a Aka Technologies from France. This became sort of an additional motivation. And what happens when, particularly France, if you speak in French, you are, you can get more information, you can become personal. And it is, I think, true with many language, or any language. So then, after in fact, I started this engineering services almost, say, about 5-6 people, including, and I was reporting to Mr. Amit Kalyani directly there, and there was Mr. H.R.K. Murthy, who was ex-Tatas, and we built about 300 people team in that, and a lot of work we did for engineering, so directly. So there because I am from design initially and my master program in design, so I could immediately pick up CAD, different kind of CAD software, CAE software. But in hindsight of it, and there was again, I think I did for about 4 years there in Pune. But somewhere I was feeling, when you are in engineering services, you don't get a feel of seeing the parts. Correct. You are doing something, you do the meshing, other fellows goes, he modifies, it is okay or not okay. What is so? This is where a person who is really from design background, it's okay for somebody who is not understanding mechanically. You do, and
So that feeling
was always there.
Switch.
Yeah. So the job which I had sort of for some reasons I had not joined at Bangalore, Tata Advanced Systems. That offer again came to me
after 4 years.
After 4 years, 2007. Destiny.
Yes.
So there was, in fact, they were organizing. They were sort of seeing that, and this is the beauty of Tata. They are ahead of the time. So they probably thought, and they invested almost 200 crore that time in, I'm telling, 2007, 11, during that time. And they were looking for some people, and this gentleman who was ex-Ford, and he joined as CEO. He sort of got reference. He says, so he called me, and it so happened there was the Aero India show. I happened to be in Bangalore. He called, we discussed, and then again, and I asked my wife, there is opportunity, should we move back to Bangalore? She said, yes, why not?
And I know, sir, when you are in with Tata Advanced Systems, Defense Systems, you have developed something very interesting and useful for defense personnels, especially for CRPF personnels. So can you tell us more about the story and how your experience into making ultralight materials like composites that may help you in terms of developing that material for CRPF?
So there is I think, good. I think you have gone through my patents detail also. So this is one of the patent to my, not to my gadget. When you are in organization, it goes to the organization. Yes. Of course, I was the person. So the thing is, it so happened, one of our Tata Advanced Systems CEO, Masood, he is still there. He was traveling with CRPF Director General by air. And there they exchanged the thought, and then they said, I think CRPF Director General CRPF said, we are facing a problem. Can you help us? I said, what is the problem? He says that this Naxalites, those people, they put the big nails, almost 4 inches, 5 inches nail in the wooden plank, and they just cover it with the mud there. And when our people sort of a park vehicle jump there or they come to that terrain, it gets punctured. So can you do something? So this is a sort of, and this is where your design skill comes into picture. Okay, how do you? So it is not so easy. So what happens? You are not supposed to sort of modify the. You have to sort of introduce some sole which will be spike resistant, or you say nail spike resistant. So I tried with the material which we use for bulletproof jackets. This is called a high performance polyethylene, HPP. And I'm not going to the specification, but it's a broad category name. So I said, let us try this. So I did with some calculation, and then sort of a simulation also, and some sort of in ISC there is a lab wherein you do the impact with the thing, whether it penetrates. Suppose you are jumping, you can calculate what mass with a 1 leg or 2 leg when you are coming out of the vehicle for 3 feet, 3.5 feet height also. So these are all kind of rough design input. There was no specifics from. Then I also went to Raipur CRPF, where this was identified.
To actually test the product.
Yeah, where it happened. So I talked to their CRPF head there, and he took me to the site, and then we collected some samples, how it had happened. I took those samples of those wooden planks with those nails there with my colleague, and we brought back, and we tested. So I think we could crack this within 6 months or so. But still, I was careful how to do it, and we wanted to demonstrate. So in that, what I did was, we did, there was no test batch. So I said, let us jump onto this at 3 feet height. So initially, there was some hesitation. Nobody wants to, it's a human.
Right.
So one of the, I remember Kundan Singh, he is ex-army, and he was in charge of our our lab, ballistic lab. He was in charge. So I gave him an idea that I will put a small metal sheet of that size, and then you jump it, and let us see if it penetrates the first. The striking phase is composite. So slowly, confidence developed. To cut short the story, we proven it and took it to the Raipur again, and then demonstrated there. Asked them people to jump and do it.
Are CRPF personnel still using the products you have developed?
I'm not too sure, because afterwards, see, it happens initially that lot of people said, no, we can also do.
Correct.
I can also do, but patent was in our name.
Correct. But I also feel that was a really useful and like a practical solution that point of time, and it's really.
It was. In fact, they were visibly very happy. In fact, one of their Jawans, he came and he embarrassed our two people who was sort of,
I completely understand.
So this kind of thing gives you joy. There is nothing, you get motivated.
Absolutely.
So then I thought, let me put a patent.
And as we talked about innovations, so now I have two questions for you. One is related to, in your view, what is the future of innovation in this particular field? If I specifically talk about composites in various industries, not only defense, or maybe its applicability in other industries like aerospace and automotive. So what are the emerging future technologies? And secondly, if some student, what kind of courses they can do? Is engineering only sufficient, or they need to go for masters or PhD? So what's your advice, and what are the future trends in this particular sector, sir?
So we'll divide it into two parts.
Yes.
One is you talk about what are the emerging technology, which I understand,
Yes.
and composite. See, composites give a sort of, it is a pleasure for a real designer, wherein you are, like in metals, you have still some fixed percentage, you can say mild steel, hardened steel, high carbon steel, same way aluminum, weldable. But in composite, you have that liberty. It is designer's delight, if I call it.
Correct.
So innovations is there for new experience. Whatever you do, it's a sort of a new thinking, new innovation, new product. Always it is a sort of a motivation. But where the industry is moving fast, and where India needs to catch up, is that increasing the production rate. So how do you do? The developments are taking in automation. So that current, for example, legacy program which came to India, composite build to print program, they are because of labor, cheap labor here. So that advantage has has been on sort of a challenge with Vietnam already coming and Southeast Asian countries. A lot of people are getting into that. So now, and aerospace is basically what we call it quality driven. It's quality is the first. If you don't achieve quality, your cost target will not met and delivery, of course, will not get. So if you say three fundamentals of project success, QCD, we call it NPD, new product cycle. So in that, this is very important. So, and when you do automation, the human error, and particularly large part, and now the tape winding. So, for example, unidirectional, suppose aircraft fuselage is a cockpit. If you say 787 will be sort of this size, big room. And to do the layup on that, it is but natural you have to go for automation. So automation, there are tape laying machines. There are also inspection advancement which you do, laser tracker measurements and all that. Laser projections they do for alignment of the fiber and all that. So automation is one thing. New technology which is emerging and in fact emerged in composite, like additive manufacturing, we call it in metals. But composites also not behind. And I would say, with a word of caution, it is not for component, but it is for the tooling, composite tooling. The typical composite tooling for aerospace standard for autoclave curing takes 6 to 8 weeks. If you have the 3D printing, it can be done 6 to 8 weeks.
Additive manufacturing.
Additive manufacturing. Because there are you have a pattern, you take a splash, you cure it,
Right.
you have
Saves lot
backup
of time.
structure. Yeah, it is a long process till you do thermal survey, qualify, and do FAI and series production. It gets launched. So here is a chance where we can do that. Then graphene is another area where defense is looking for coming into picture. Yeah. So second question which you were telling about the skill. So as of now, if I can say, and this is where industry is not realizing, and I am in touch with the. By the way, I go to Ahmedabad University as a professor of practice, and we are starting masters in composites. First time in India, master in composites. Even IITs don't have today, with the specific focus on aerospace and defense. So that is one of the things my positive post I would say Tata TASL job, which now I am steering through my Aryssa consulting solutions. So I advise industry and lot of so coming back to those skill sets when you are doing it. So it's again, imagine for example a fresh graduate, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering. Some people, they are coming out and they have a career dilemma. They are not able to see how to do and which way to go. Particularly if they are not from REC or IITs. So that is where. Other side, which I know from the industry side, including ourselves, we were mechanical background. Before coming to HAL, we had to go through 1 semester course, particularly in Aero department in IASC. And 1 semester course, then on-job few months training, almost minimum 6, or we'll say almost 1 year organization spends on you before you become productive and then go to the job. And now the way industry, aerospace and defense is growing, there is a lot of demand for the trained resources. They don't want to spend. So this gap can be sort of bridged with the universities and institutions with this kind of courses, which will be, so by end of first year, we will identify industry, and then they will come, they will give the project. So with that, this will be done. And one word which I want to say, see, any country, if he or India wants to claim that we are a developed country, aerospace defense is one of the pillars. No country in the world can today claim that I am developed without having the complete aerospace and defense production of ammunition, aircraft, aerospace related project. So India, if it has to become a developed country, aerospace defense has to come, and that industry is growing, and it will grow for at least few decades, if I can foresee. And composites have their very big advantage, and these trained resources, I feel there is a latent need of industry. There is a obvious need of students. Institutes have to bridge this gap. So one of my mission or one of our company's objective is to meet people in the industry and institutes and see that how you can.
So as I know, sir, after your working with several corporates, you have started your consulting firm, Aryssa Consulting. So can you share some more details about the company, what exactly you and your partners are doing through that company? And if someone like to do some trainings with you guys, I know you and your partners go to various educational institutes and share your experience with thousands of students and professionals also. So how you guys are helping the overall community, not only students but industries, through your consulting firm?
So first thing first, how we started this. So and nothing comes unless until you feel that there is a need. So through LinkedIn, various profiles people will pick up, and then probably they would arrange an interview with the customer either in India or outside. And I did this for a few numbers. Then I realized why we should have in between this agency. Why not we have a direct access to the companies where we can get meaningful discussion? Because some of them they started approaching after that also. So I discussed with one of my colleagues who is senior with me, Ashok Kumar Sood. He is a sort of one of very unique profile, and he is stalwart in aerospace, aircraft subsystem system testing, full scale aircraft testing. So his field is little different than my domain, and we work together. We arrange training programs for people, not individual, but in a group institutes. So we can start from basics of composite to design to tooling to production to and also there are two streams which we call it. One is the production, other is design engineering. So design is mostly CAD, CAE, FEA, design part of it, and production requires little bit of leadership quality, shop management, shop practices, how you do it. So these two, after initial training, get separated. We do that, and there are good effort we have put in. We are current industry. There are good number of industry who approach within India and outside India. They are looking for putting up a plant, manufacturing plant for composites or even non-composite domain. And this is where the supply chain ecosystem is sort of gearing up now for the bigger thing. And I think these are all we are enjoying. So one thing which I would say, having worked in life for 45 years for others, when you work for yourself, it gives you a different pleasure.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you have liberty, you accept, you don't do, you enjoy. And of course, money is at this stage of life is not that important for us.
Not priority.
So
at that
yeah,
time.
money is essential for life.
And
But
what is your future vision for this particular consulting company, sir? What you exactly want to achieve? We know that money is not priority right now, but what is your vision? And
so as of now, we don't have big team. We just do ourselves. But I personally feel sharing my experiences with in future, how do we sort of take it. So if I go through my own life and some of that part I have narrated, I have made a model, what we say, a model of successful life. So successful life means professional successful life. It may be valid for your non-profession also. I have yet to see. So I have made a model which I call it IOA. So I basically every person is born with certain intelligence. which I call it I. So if you take a triangle, top one you say I. And you cannot change it. It is within your genes or by birth or your forefathers. You should understand, you cannot change it. Then second part of the IOA is O. O is opportunity. If you take this apex is O. When you have opportunities, so opportunities is a luck factor, which you call it. So it comes, I have seen everybody's life. Though people complain, I don't have luck. Maybe there are some people who don't have luck. But normally it comes somebody in the initial phase of life, somebody middle phase of life, somewhere at the end of the life. And there also the summary is that you cannot do much. See, if it comes, luck comes. It doesn't come, it doesn't come. So IOA, which is the what I call it aspiration. So aspiration is a person who aspires, who have a passion, who understand his limitation, and who can foresee what is to be done. So he can prepare himself, and then opportunities will knock the door, and you capitalize on that. That is how the life success. And if I go back to what I had narrated in this talk today, if you see, I prepared myself by doing masters. Opportunity knocked. At that time, I did not know HAL will take me or I will go to HAL. When I left HAL, I realized that there is something I can do other than HAL, and I really did not cast my thing. So I learned, in fact, the two organizations, if I say, where maximum learning initial phase has gone is HAL, where technical thing, and TVS Motor, where it is a real process-oriented organization, where FMEA, failure mode effect analysis, NPD process, new product development process, failure analysis, RCA, root cause analysis. There is a very systematic approach. What we call it DFM, design for manufacturing, design for assembly. I gave you production. So, this coming back to this successful life success model is IOA, Indian Olympic Association. You can very well remember it. And this is not from the book. It is nowhere written. This I have sort of ourselves realized and thought. It gives a simple way to make younger generation understand how the life can be done. And this is where it is very important for younger generation. They should know what they want to do, how they want to do, particularly startup, and what is their goal, short-term goal, mid-term goal, long-term goal. And if one thing they should not do if they are not enjoying. They should enjoy, they should be passionate, they should be convinced, they should have tenacity. So these are all some of the characteristics, perseverance they should have. And also, very important, last factor which I would say, you should be motivated to motivate others. If you are motivated, then only you can,
Makes sense.
like a potential higher energy, you can go flow it to lower energy.
Great.
So always be motivated to motivate others.
Thank you so much for the advice. I'm sure most of our audience, they are in a age group of like between 18 to 28, like students and early into their career. And whatever word of wisdom and piece of advice you have given,
We advise them also on startups,
Mhm.
depending on what kind of domain, particularly aerospace and defense. In fact, one of the things which is very much catching is recyclability, which I have probably missed it,
Mhm.
of composite. Recyclability is business, if I can say. Today, aerospace material is not recyclable. So all the organization who create the waste, composite waste in terms of parts, material, finished part after cutting, trimming, they sell it to the supplier who does it, for sort of burning, sintering process and all that. So if, and in any business, material is almost 30-40%. In this business, you will get material which is free. And only thing
this is a future opportunity.
In future, one of the opportunities. So which business will give you material is already available and you convert into product, And that is where engineering comes. You can end use, you can probably do it.
And sir, before we wrap up today's session, if any advice for people in leadership positions, right, who are heading some big departments, CEOs, director, vice president of manufacturing unit, since you have gone through the entire journey, worked with multiple companies, you have your own experience. So, any piece of advice, especially for leaders in the industry, how they lead their team, how they envision future of their companies, and how they build a team which can work for a common goal?
Yeah, good question. And the first thing which comes to my mind is for leadership, first and foremost, which is very important. I am telling technical competence, everything will, because you are reaching to that level, you will have that ability to foresee things. And this is very important for strategic vision of your company. If you are not able to forecast, you are not able to change, see the changes in technology, product, business competitiveness, who is threat, who is third page news, who will become first page news. These are all leadership first and foremost quality. Second thing which comes to my, as you said, teamwork or the production. So I have worked on the shop floor, and considering that I am giving this example, is what we say uniformity in your behavior. Everybody, you should not be seen as manipulative person. If you are seen as a manipulative, talk to somebody like this, talk to somebody like that, maybe it will give you some benefit, but long term it doesn't give. So I have worked with people who still remember me. They still call me with first name on the shop floor. And I used to give them an example. See, in the shop floor, you see that nobody is watching. But there is another, see, you have only two eyes. There are so many eyes
On you.
who are watching you. So if you are sort of thinking smart and that you are doing something, I think it will not sell. So that is one thing. Third thing is that you should be having self confidence and conviction. If you have that, then only you will be able to convince others. And at times it has happened where I have done changes. I don't want to go into detail, particularly in production side. We have formed a strategy, and then particularly to handle labor, and where my CEO or director level, they were thinking, Naresh, what you are doing, is it okay? So when I went and confronted and I explained, they agreed. But what happens if we, or other way, you can take them confidence before implementing that also. So this is very important. And you should be following your usual process, procedures, whichever organization it is different, HAL
Work ethics and compliance.
combine work. This is you have to have. Otherwise, and this is where I think Tata's experience, TVS experience has been wonderful. Both very ethical companies, very no nonsense, and also I would say, particularly when you people like me, it is not easy to stay in private organization at mid level when you go, or mid high level. I left HAL at AGM level, joined as HAL, joined TVS Motor AGM, GM, then vice president, president. So if you don't have, you will not be able to stay in organization more than 6 months. If you don't, and if your bosses don't see that you are valuable to them, it is very important that. And last thing on the leadership, as I say, I still say having self motivation. If you are motivated every day, you don't feel motivated to do something new, motivate your team, have conviction, have foresightedness, they all get aligned. And that is how it is professional success, also the life success.
Sir, thank you so much. I must say it's really an interesting and intriguing discussion, and I learned so much from the vast experience you have. And I'm sure whoever will watch this podcast once we release it, they will definitely motivate from your stories and whatever piece of advice you have given. And I know such a short time is not enough to get to know more about yourself, your experience. So definitely we will invite you again, and we will talk 1 hour on specifically one topic, maybe one technical topic, so that someone who like to grow into career into like engineering and specifically into aerospace, composites, and other technologies, they will get more details. So we will surely request you again to come on our podcast and share your knowledge. But till then, thank you so much for your time, sir.
It has been pleasure, Rahul, and I
Likewise.
enjoyed every bit of it.
Me too, sir.
And
Me too. Thank you so much.
and you are also one of the very motivated person. I know your profile, and
So
thanks for doing it.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.